Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're cracking open the economic playbook of ARK Invest's Cathie Wood. And let me tell you, her team's research paints a picture of the future that's, well, it's completely different from what you're hearing from most economists. And it all kicks off with this really bold, kind of contrarian idea. All the headlines are screaming about inflation, right? But Cathie Wood says that's not the real story. The story we're all missing is this massive wave of technology that's about to drive prices down, not up. And that question, that's really at the heart of what we're digging in today. Are we just bracing for another recession? Or are we on the verge of a full-blown revolution? One that's going to totally rewrite the rules of the game. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the big picture vision, then we'll look at the next 9 months, the 5-year horizon, zoom all the way out to 2030, and then wrap up with ARK's playbook for how to think about all this.
So, first things first, let's unpack this revolutionary vision. We're talking about something way bigger than just new gadgets. ARK calls it a deflationary revolution, and they believe it's going to reshape everything.
Usually when you hear the word deflation, economists get pretty nervous. It usually means a weak, collapsing economy. But this idea, it flips that completely on its head. We're talking about good deflation. This is where stuff gets cheaper, not because no one's buying it, but because technology, things like AI and robotics, is making everything way more efficient. It's deflation that's actually driven by progress, not problems. So what's really interesting is how this revolution basically splits the world in two. It's like a tale of two economies. On one side, you have the innovators. For them, this is good deflation. It's a massive tailwind, pushing costs down and sparking incredible growth. But on the other side, you've got the legacy companies, the old guard. For them, this same wave becomes fatal deflation. They just can't keep up, and they're facing the very real risk of becoming totally obsolete. Okay, so how does a revolution like this even begin? Let's zoom in a bit to the near future. Here's the play-by-play for the next 6 to 9 months, according to ARK. Right now, the idea is we're in what's called a rolling recession. That just means different parts of the economy are taking a hit at different times. So it's kind of hard to see the big picture, but the forecast says that's about to change fast. It's expected to give way to this huge leap in productivity, which then sparks a recovery that almost nobody sees coming. And this is the really crucial part. What's actually driving this recovery? It's not the old school economy. No way. While high interest rates are squeezing things like commercial real estate, you've got these 5 key tech platforms, AI, blockchain, you see them here. They're quietly building the foundation for a totally new era. So in this view, the winners are going to be the innovators in tech and core crypto assets. All right, let's pull the camera back a bit to the 5-year horizon. This is the point where this tech shift stops being just a trend and becomes the dominant force in the market. And to give you a sense of just how big this transformation could be, ARK puts out a number that, well, it's pretty much impossible to ignore. They're projecting Bitcoin could hit over $1 million by 2030. Think about that. That's not just a price target. It's a statement about its role as the digital gold for a whole new financial world. But look, this whole vision isn't just about Bitcoin. It's about a whole ecosystem of digital assets working together, each with a very specific job. Think of it like a team. Bitcoin is the big, trusted anchor, the digital gold that brings institutions into the space. Ethereum is the super smart contract platform, the core infrastructure for things like AI and DeFi. And then you've got Solana, bringing that high-octane speed and scale that you need for it all to go mainstream. So the takeaway for the medium term is this 3-pronged approach. First, you have a long-term allocation to the core crypto players, BTC and ETH. Second, you keep a sharp focus on those other game-changing technologies, AI, gene sequencing, the whole shebang. And third, you look at the picks and shovels of this revolution. We're talking about the public companies like Coinbase and Robinhood that are actually building the on-ramps and bridges to this new economy. Okay, now for the grand vision. Let's zoom all the way out to 2030. At this point, we're not talking about tech influencing the economy. It's completely remaking the entire global landscape. This is really the end game of the vision. We stop talking about the tech sector because, well, technology is the economy. AI specifically becomes the main engine for all productivity. And in this new world, the old clunky financial models, they get replaced by these new digital networks that are just faster, cheaper, and way more transparent. So in this new world order, the very foundation of finance has shifted. Bitcoin has solidified its place as digital gold. It's that neutral global reserve asset. And Ethereum?
It's become the essential settlement layer, the bedrock infrastructure that the entire new digital economy is built on.
Now, of course, you got to talk about risks, right? And the big one on the long-term horizon is quantum computing. It's a potential threat to the cryptography we use today. But the thinking here is that this is still a pretty distant threat. We're talking late 2030s at the earliest. That gives these networks plenty of time to evolve and get ready for it. So you might be wondering, with a future that's this complex and moving this fast, how do you even approach investing in it? Well, ARK's answer isn't just a list of stocks. It's a whole playbook, a mindset built for this new era of disruption. And the whole strategy really boils down to this one core idea. Looking in the rearview mirror is a losing game. Why? Because all that traditional analysis based on historical data, AI is going to totally commoditize that. The real edge, the alpha, is going to come from human creativity, from forward-looking research that can actually see the next big thing coming before it happens.
And here's how they put that idea into practice. It's basically a three-part method. First, it all starts with that deep, forward-looking research. Then, they share that research with pretty radical transparency, which helps build a whole community around the ideas. And finally, they use AI as a tool, not to replace their analysts, but to make them better, to amplify their human creativity. It's a really powerful partnership between people and machines.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most important question. It's one that this whole vision kind of forces us to ask ourselves. As this huge technological revolution plays out, every one of us has to decide, are we investing in the world of the past, or are we investing in the world of the future?